Hey guys, how you doing out there today? So all you guys that have been following along, watching my channel, and some of you guys that are new to my channel, if you're new, there's a video out there on YouTube. It's my classic car, and it's talking about the customized 51 Chevy called Carried Away, which one of its owners was Cort Elliot. As you can see, the car here is in the background, safely tucked away. Terry, if you're watching, there she is. And yes, we are the ones that resurrected and restored this car. So, there was no mention of the fact that after Cort got rid of the car, Bruce Metcalf took the car over in 1968, I believe it was, and he changed the car. He painted it green, Corvette green, actually. I think it was 68. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 64. But anyway, he painted the car Corvette green. Actually, no, it was a 1968 Corvette green. He painted it. He put the back seats in it. He changed the car, tires, wheels. He never did change the body mods, but he changed it and showed it for a long time. And then he got rid of it and it moved on. And where it ended up, who knows? But Terry found it right at the time when American Graffiti was coming out. Terry found it alongside a gas station, abandoned, and he purchased it, believe it or not, way back in the day for $800. And I believe that was 1972, because American Graffiti came out in 73. So he had it just before that movie came out. And Terry has owned it ever since. And like everyone, Terry found out the history on it. When he bought it, of course, custom cars weren't a big thing. He kept it forever. He kept it running. He kept it on the road. He kept it in underground storage. And of course, then I became friends with Terry Collin back in the Graffiti Car Club days. Fell in love with the car. Always loved the car. And later in life, Terry and I, we talked a bit more. And then Terry decided one day he wanted to go on a cruise, and he brought it out to our shop. And that's where it all started. It started spending its life out here because it was better than sitting in underground. He had a nice covered spot here, and I didn't mind that it was here. And so it's been out here for almost 12 years. And sadly, Terry had a stroke a few years back. And I said, what are you going to do with this car, Terry? We need to figure out the car situation, just because you've kind of got me in the middle of the whole situation where I'm storing the car here. And people were starting to come around, snoop around, and I didn't know what was going on. And I said, what are you going to do? And of course, Terry says, well, I don't know. I don't know. He says, you know, I'm going to do my best to get better from my stroke, and I'm going to drive my car again. And I was like, hey, hell yeah, that's what you're going to do. So I said to Terry, I said, how would you feel if I took the car all apart and I restored this car the best I can back to kind of how it sort of was? You know, get it back to sort of as close as I could to color and striping and everything. And he agreed, hey, I can, but, you know, a stroke and money and stuff like this. And I said, just don't worry about it. We'll take care of it here. So, to set the record straight, Terry Kong still owns this car. Bruce Metcalf was a huge part of this thing. And us at Old Time Garage, we did do the restoration on it. And that's all we got to say. The car is nicely, safely being stored here for Terry, waiting on him. And there she is. And things will only get better for her. There's little things I never did get to do. I never did get to get the grill re-chromed. I never did get the taillights redone. But a lot of the other stuff, as you can see, I did do. So, for any of you watching that video, I just wanted to make a big shout out there. Nothing against anything done in the video. A lot of times when videos get done, they get edited. I know for a fact that Cort did say that Terry had the car. I know Cort mentioned that we had restored it. But I think the editing for my classic car cut out that part. And I just want them to know that Terry Kong is the owner of this car, and he has been for 40-some years. And we're the shop that restored it. And if you want to watch more, you watch my videos and follow along. Okay. Hey, it's always a good time at Old Time.
Well, Cort, this is a, you know, fairly radical custom even today.
Yes.
But this car was built back in?
Well, life as a custom started in 1958. And really, it took over 2 years to get to the stage where it was roadworthy.
Uh-huh. Now, it's what, a 51 Chev, right?
It's a 51 Chev.
Hard to tell.
Well, the whole plan was that it could be a modified car that was designed to look as though it was always been that way in the first place.
Uh-huh.
It had to look right. We didn't want it to look modified. We wanted it to look as though it should have been built that way.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why we would sit down and decide, in the modifications, we weren't going to employ any of the contemporary gimmicks of the day. The Appleton spots, scoops, louvers, skirts.
Uh-huh.
It had to look as though it was
what it was supposed to be.
Original Detroit product.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty obsessive.
Well, we both Jack and I were concerned about something that we didn't want to look the slightest bit gimmicky. It had to have a classic elegance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shows that. So started in 58, took a couple years to get it
Yes.
to this state or even close
no,
to this.
no.
Oh, no.
Well,
Oh, no.
It was basically a custom up to the stock front end
Okay.
in gray primer.
When did it get these headlights then?
Oh, well, again, Jack Williams, who built the car, the absolute master craftsman. He could do more with metal than anybody could imagine. And we were sitting in a couple of apple boxes in the shop one day. We're deciding, first of all, how are we going to change the front end to match up what was done with the 56 Packard Clipper taillights and the other work done to the car. Came to the conclusion that 58 Lincoln quads would look good. And then we're deciding whether it's going to be canted as the Lincoln was or vertical. So eventually we tacked them in place in a couple of the ways and decided to settle that this was the best harmonious way to blend with the
They
car.
are vertical. At first I thought there was a slight cant. There's really not, is there?
Not really, other than the fact there's a left and a right shape. So if you look here,
Yeah.
the taper is slightly different.
That may be what makes it, gives it that, oh, gee, is that cant or not?
Exactly.
Yeah, they are not symmetrical. They're mirror images.
They are.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So that all worked out nicely. And then, of course, the stock top of the grill bar was then blended in
Yeah.
to the bottom to give it a sense of form and harmony.
How much of a chop do you have on
Well,
it?
roughly 4.5 inches. Actually, it's a blend between, say, 3 3/4 and 4.5, depending upon. There's a bit more of a chop at the rear than at the
Yeah.
front to
Give it that
give it that flow. Yes,
That impression of speed even
Sure.
sitting still.
sure.
You were saying earlier you found in working on it that this was an Eastern car, so it had a lot of rust in it.
yeah.
And this thing's got almost all new panels.
Yes, all factory parts.
All factory, of course, but what was left of the original car after you did all that?
The firewall, the roof, and the trunk lid.
That was it.
That was it.
Well, those
And of
things are
course,
all,
the frame.
yeah, they were all pretty far away from the salt, so they,
Of course,
yeah,
yes.
right, yeah.
Sure.
Well, now the interior, which this has obviously all been restored and everything. The interior
Yeah.
has not. But is this what the interior was?
Oh no! This is 58 Thunderbird interior seats
Right.
in the front. The rear seats are handmade out of wooden bucks to give a similar pattern and design and shape.
But what did it look like when you had it?
Well, originally it had the original mohair covered bench seat
Yeah.
and nothing else.
That was it, really, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Matter of fact, when we first put it on the road, there was no interior, no headlining except for that upholstered bench seat with basically a steel cage, and it was like driving a drum.
Well, then obviously you moved on to finish the whole thing out, because this thing did the car show circuit for a long time.
Yes, but it wasn't finished. We never did finish the truck,
Oh.
and that's the reason why at the World's Fair Auto Show, when the judge said this car is possibly the finest bodywork we've ever seen, he said, I can't find any lead in it. I said, well, no, there's less than 6 ounces of lead in the roof,
Really?
and the front quarters, front fenders, and the rear fenders, they're all hammer welded.
Oh my gosh.
Before I put the headlining in, you could look at the roof, and there are no weld seams because Jack hammer welded everything.
Yeah, like even this?
Oh yes,
And the Packard, these are Packards, aren't they?
yes, 56 Packard Clipper taillights. Where the sections join, it's as smooth inside as it is outside.
Wow.
Oh, and also the chrome panels
Yeah, yeah.
that you can see around here, this was fabricated. Jack Williams made up milling tools to shape and form the male and female grooves in steel panels, rolled the edges, welded them. In fact, that's to match the stock front panels, which are stainless steel.
Wow.
But once again, it had to look as though it was done by the factory.
So you've had, this has been in many magazines and many like indoor shows from back in the day too, eh?
Quite a few. Well, actually, 1962, 63, the car appeared in Rod & Custom, Carcraft, and Hot Rod magazine.
And you never named this car,
No.
right?
So I only refer to the car as 51 Chev updated.
Updated.
Yes.
Well, I tell you, It's a pretty slick car with again, you know, quite a pedigree and quite a lot of Canadian history. Well, Cort, I just think it's great that you've did it in the first place and kept it alive all this time. It's a magnificent car.
Dennis,
Thank you so much.
thank you. This is such a pleasure.
Wow.